I got involved with Die Jim Crow when I met Fury Young through a mutual friend. And I heard he was getting ready to go to a prison in Ohio to record some music. And he was looking for somebody who was interested, so I happened to be interested. And that was how we started, in Lebanon, Ohio, I believe.
Yeah. What was that experience like of going to a prison for the first time and working with so many people?
I think the experience was very intense for a lot of different reasons. And the one thing that sort of stood out was that all of the individuals that we worked with, regardless as to what their histories had been, were very excited and very professional. And everybody was really interested. I mean, interested is not even the correct word. Everybody was extremely excited about an opportunity for their voices to be heard. And I think that was what really stood out the most. We were there to collect information, as it were, to record songs. There was not really a bigger vision than that, I don't think, the first time that we went out there. And at some point during the trip, we began discussions about the direction these recordings would go in. And I think at some point, we sort of arrived at the idea that there was enough material to make an EP, and that made sense to put it into the ether, as it were.
So the next prison was Colorado, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. So what was that experience like? That was still when we were, well, my thing for the LP was very much the focus. So we went in there under the guise of getting songs for the LP. So talk to us a little bit about, you know, your evolution from Ohio to Colorado and the differences between the two.
Yeah, Colorado was a very different experience because in Warren, we were working with a group of people that were a band, basically. When we went to Colorado Territorial, we were working with some extremely talented musicians, but there was not really the same focus in terms of sitting down and just performing songs. And at that point, it seemed that we were collecting some information that was for the concept of the LP. We were also collecting a lot of other information, recording a lot of other songs that didn't really fit under the structure of the LP, but then were still equally viable songs with important messages.
Well, that's a good tie-in to the last trip we took, actually, because at that point, I feel like that's when we were getting a lot of viable songs, as you put it, but then it was just like, really, this is not fitting on this album. We have so many artists we're working with. So that was 3 prisons. That was March 2019. That was 4 people at a juvenile prison in Mississippi, 13 people at a men's prison in South Carolina, and then 9 people at a women's prison in South Carolina also. So at that point, did you feel like things were getting far away from the LP and that we were starting to just get material that could be released otherwise?
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, ultimately my relationship with Die Jim Crow, my relationship has not really been focused on the LP. My relationship with Die Jim Crow, for the most part, has been to provide technical oversight and artistic oversight when we are in the prisons. A lot of the artists don't have a lot of experience. Whereas an artist, I have a lot of experience recording.
Right.
So I also have played a large role of sort of helping people to understand what is a song, what is a hook, what's happening rhythmically, why is something working, why is it not working. And I think over the course of the entire recording time, there's been things that have been recorded that fit the vision of the structure of the LP and things that have been recorded that don't. And I don't think that either of those things are necessarily better or worse. It's not that things that are recorded for the LP turn out better than other songs or other ideas that people have. And I imagine that it is very hard. It would be very hard to be in a position to say to somebody that, you know, this song is great, but it just doesn't work. And, you know, you're going to do another 25 years and your song is not going to ever get released,
Right.
and not ever get heard. And I think that that's one of the big responsibilities of taking on the record label.
For sure.
But also ties into the potential for some very, very important work to get done. The most memorable moment of working with Die Jim Crow is all of it, because it's all phenomenally inspiring. And, you know, one thing is that once we're with the artist and the artists are in front of the microphone or in front of the drum kit or in front of the keyboard or whatever it might be, you don't realize you're in prison anymore. They don't realize they're in a prison. We don't realize we're in a prison. We're just making art. And I think that that's why so many of the moments are so memorable. We worked with this one artist named Uno, and she had just received a life sentence. And we were working on a song that we had recorded in Allendale, or had recorded the vocals in Allendale, and we had recorded music for it. I feel like there was stuff that was recorded in Warren that had lended to that. So you have this sort of journey through these 3 different correctional facilities, so-called correctional facilities. And Uno was so inspired by this song that at one point we were recording in the library, which was connected to the gym, and she was in the gym just singing the song. It was really inspiring to see this conversation taking place between people that had never met about sharing the same situation.
Yeah.
And there was an element to that I think was very healing. And, you know, Uno has had a challenging incarceration. And it seemed that through music, there was healing that began. I think that was really great.
Cool. Any last words?
Nope. Give money.
Yeah.
Give money, because it's going to take a lot.
Yep. 3 days left in the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Doc.
Yep. My pleasure.